Clemson Hotline is on the air, a one-hour talk show giving Clemson fans a power hour of Tiger Sports Talk. Clemson Hotline is presented by y'all.com and brought to you by Amtrak. Clemson Hotline is direct from Tiger Country on the network of radio stations across the great state of South Carolina, and the podcast edition of our show is available for download in iTunes. Hello, everyone. I'm Lawton Swann. Welcome back into the program. 2-0. That's right, your Clemson Tigers handle business against Ball State. You should be excited because with Furman on the docket and the history that exists between these two programs, one should expect, barring some unforeseen catastrophic event, that your Clemson Tigers will head down to Tallahassee 4-0. And for the Florida State Seminoles, that means only getting by the Wake Forest Demon Deacons before you can have what could potentially be, based on the upcoming rankings next week, a top 10 matchup in Tallahassee. And most people believe, and it may have been reported officially, but I have not seen it as of yet at the time of our recording, that perhaps game day will be there in Tallahassee. So the Clemson Tigers just a week away from the biggest game of the season so far on the road, but we're going to talk with you, and Greg Wallace will join us here on the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network after these messages from our sponsors. Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that.
From now on, your day can start with a perfectly brewed cup of coffee or tea thanks to the Bosch Tassimo home brewing system and unique barcode technology. From now on, your dishes will wash in virtual silence thanks to the quietest dishwasher line in North America. Bosch dishwashers were named #1 in a best value by a leading consumer publication. And right now, you can get a great deal on Bosch appliances by visiting your local Best Buy retailer. Bosch, invented for life. Bosch offers the quietest dishwashers in North America, and no major brand offers a quieter model at any Bosch price point. June 2012. Class defined by similarly priced and designed models of major brands based on a leading consumer publication, June 2012. Tassimo is a registered trademark of Kraft Foods.
We scoop the boot, dutycalls.com. When nobody else will do it, dutycalls.com. To make that dog poop go away, call or click for a free quote today.
When nature calls, we answer. To get a free quote for dog poop removal, go to dutycalls.com now.
DOODYCALLS. Dutycalls.com.
All you Midlands area sports fans, when Duty Calls asks for Jeff Bolin. He's #1 and #2. G-Dog General Dentistry at Oak Grove is located on Highway 1 near the Barnyard Flea Market. Modern, relaxing dentistry with TVs and headphones in every room, nitrous and even oral sedation. Digital diagnostic x-rays for better quality and 85% less radiation exposure. And check out their new Clemson Patient Special. Mention that you heard about G-Dog here on the Clemson Sports Talk programs and receive an extra 5% off all services through football season. If you don't have a regular dentist, go see my dentist, Dr. Rick Jackson at G-Dog. That's General Dentistry at Oak Grove. Do you need land management, habitat improvements with an emphasis on hardwoods? Contact Thomas Forestry. They're conveniently located at 576 Riverland Drive, Suite A in Charleston, South Carolina. Joseph W. Thomas and Thomas Forestry have been maintaining renewable resources since 1977. Call now to discuss your options with Joe. 843-735-3993. That's 843-735-3993.
Clemson Tigers, we coming for you.
Yeah. That's how we do it, baby. Little tailgate party. Y'all better come on. It's going down.
We about to back it on up in the parking lot. Got the beer on ice and the grill is hot. On your mark, get set, baby, ready or not. We gonna get some Tiger.
Welcome back into Clemson Hotline. I'm your host, Lawton Swann, broadcasting the show live, as always, on Vocal. That's VOKLE.com. It's great to be with you here, and also we'll be on the front page of TigerNet.com as well. As many of you are aware of the program, I certainly appreciate it as I go about game days trying to generate a little bit more interest in the show and allow people to know about us. I do tell everybody how they can tune into the program, and we certainly appreciate it when you do. But the great thing about Vocal is that we can actually take your thoughts and questions here on the program live, which is pretty cool. And Brandon is already writing into the program. Brandon, a loyal listener to the program, he says, Lee Brice. So what do you think? And, you know, this is going to be, we're going to kind of kick off the show with a little bit of the recap of the Ball State game. But if you haven't heard the Lee Brice Orange Empire song, you've probably been under a rock to some degree, to be honest with you. And maybe it was the rock up at Death Valley. I don't know. That would be a nice. If there's a rock to be under as a Clemson fan, I think that's probably it. We'll actually cue that up for you real quick here and drop it in and let Tiger Nation decide what they think about Lee Brice's Orange Empire. Not too high on the first part, to be honest with you. I think it picks up right here, though.
Death Valley, 80,000 strong, our boys standing on the top of the hill. Can you feel the rumble coming on? We're about to impose our will on you.
So I think he does a pretty good job with it, to be honest with you. You know, I like some of the other stuff we've heard in the past, some of the stuff we play here on the program, of course. I mean, maybe I'm a little bit partial, but I debated cutting some of that up and actually putting it into the show, to be honest with you, Brandon. But I definitely agree with you there that I think there's an opportunity, but the chorus is kind of rough, as you seem to think here in the chat room. And let me tell you, I know right now we're not on the front page of Tiger Network. Perhaps we're not. Number of viewers are pretty low right now, but that's okay. We'll continue to roll along, and I hope you'll tune in. Let me tell you, though, the ways you can take part with us in the program. In the chat room on Vocal, you can ask questions just like Brandon did. Those will always be archived on Vocal when you check back the video there. We also have our YouTube channel, youtube.com/LSwannMedia. That's ELSWANN, L Swann Media. Put that in there, and you can go see all the archived editions of the show. Give us a call, 803-450-0086, or tweet to us, #TNTalk. Now, of course, if you're familiar with the programs Clemson Hotline and Tiger Net Talk, you know one thing about the Clemson Hotline. This program, I have to be a little bit more timed into a clock. I mean, this show's put out to multiple radio stations across the state of South Carolina, and they all expect it to be a certain amount of time. So we really have to hold pretty fast to those times. I want to tell you, though, Greg Wallace of the Anderson Independent Mail will be joining us after our first break, and I look forward to that, catching up with him and finding out his thoughts on the Clemson Tigers this past weekend. The Tigers got the job done against Ball State. Sure, at the end of the day, 52-27 may not be what Clemson Tiger fans had hoped, but what would you learn if you had gone in to that ball game like maybe an Oklahoma State did last week to a team like Savannah State, or much like what Florida State was able to do to them this past weekend in just a little over 3 quarters? And what would you learn if you put up 75 points on somebody, 80 points? Not much. Not much. The experience you can't deny, though. Now, I'll give you this, and I know a lot of you are going to say, well, but the defense took a lot of bad angles. There were some opportunities and missed tackles that they didn't make. And you're right, Brent Venables has a lot to clean up. But you have to wonder, sort of in the back of your mind, is Brent Venables maybe saving some things for the Florida State game? Knowing how big that game is, you look at Florida State's wide receiving core, and it's a tremendous attack. And we're going to look at them more next week, obviously. But right now, Clemson's secondary is getting beaten up pretty good, but we're really not getting any pressure up front. We're really leaving those guys out on islands and not helping them out a whole lot with the defensive pressure. Most of the time, what you're seeing from the defensive front is just a straight push. You're not getting a whole lot of swim moves. There's nothing fancy going on there right now. And so I'm kind of wondering if this is something that we're holding back on, realizing that we can outscore a team like Ball State, that we can outscore a team like Furman no matter what they do. I mean, Clemson's up 45-10 at the half. And I'm thinking to myself, actually before Spencer Benton boots a 61-yard record-setting field goal, wow, first off, let me just say, to see somebody kick a field goal from the opposite side of the hash mark, and then in the NFL, we had one go for 63 on Sunday, so that was pretty impressive too. But Spencer Benton's 61-yard field goal was unbelievable, and he cleared it by about 4 yards in my mind. That thing would have been good from 65. I don't know if he could have made it or if the pressure would have gotten to him if he had to kick one that long at the end of a game. But it's kind of nice to know with the new rule, if you get to the 25-yard line when you take a knee, that you've only got to get, 35 or so yards, and you could have an opportunity at a field goal. I'll take Clemson's offense and those chances. But anyway, as Clemson was up 42-10 at the time, and my prediction, if you listen to Tiger Net Talk, was 49-10, I was kind of excited, thinking maybe we pull back the reins a little bit, we don't score anymore, maybe just a touchdown in the second half was what I was kind of hoping, and we get out there 49-10, and I'd have my prediction exactly right. He makes the field goal. I realize the prediction is not going to be spot on perfect this week, and it was Ball State. My goodness, Boise State. It was Ball State in the second half with Horatio Banks, who had the 54-yard run earlier in the game. A couple of bad angles there by Xavier Brewer, and I believe it was Blanks that also took a bit of a bad angle, but Brewer was the one who really disappointed me on that play. A couple of linebackers got caught up in the flow, and then you have a guy like Horatio Banks off to the races. But, give Clemson credit, because it's kind of tough, I think, when you are blowing the team out. You look at Oregon last weekend against Arkansas State. They're up huge at the half. It's real easy to get complacent. It's real easy if you're the defense to kind of not put your opponent to sleep, if you will, to kind of just let them hang in there and keep swinging a little bit at you. And I really feel like that's what we saw a little bit of. So don't be disappointed that the second half Clemson was outscored 17-7. Be more excited about the fact that this appears to be a Clemson team that's still on the rise, and in the polls they continue to move up as Arkansas falls this past weekend. Stay with us. So Greg Wallace on the other side of this break. We'll be right back. All right, if you're watching the show in vocal, just hang with me 1 second. I got to queue up Greg Wallace. On Tiger Net Talk, we always call people during the commercial break. Let's see, Brandon and Nathan. You guys are awesome, man. Let me tell you, I wish I could run into you guys as I walk around. If you ever see me, let me know it's you. Yeah. All right, here we go. Let me call Greg.
Dabo Swinney of the Clemson Tigers, and you're listening to the Clemson Hotline on the John C. Calhoun Radio Network.
As always, we appreciate Coach Swinney welcoming you all into the program. I'm your host, Lawton Swann. This is the Clemson Hotline broadcast, and Sunday evenings, 9 p.m., front page of TigerNet. We're here each and every week. Thank you all for joining us. And we're joined now by Greg Wallace. Greg does a fantastic job covering the Clemson Tigers for orangeandwhite.com. And, Greg, I know that you were at the game on Saturday. And, you know, when you look at the final score, 52-27, we said this in the opening segment. For people who maybe didn't watch the game, you say to yourself, wow, Clemson didn't really blow Ball State out the way I thought they might. But this was a Ball State team with a high-paced offense. Horatio Banks showed how quick he is with the football in his hands, made a couple of big runs for the Cardinals. But ultimately, it was Clemson's first half, which was brilliant in my mind. I mean, I thought it was a very flawless performance offensively that really led the charge and put Ball State away early.
Yeah, you know, it was actually a lot like that North Carolina game last year where they pretty much named their score, and that's pretty much what Clemson did. I mean, that first half was one of the best first halves I've seen in a while for Clemson. Hearing just a little bit of echo there, so. Yeah, I mean, everything went right for them, and they got turnovers. They protected Taj Boyd. You know, I looked down at the end of the second quarter, the entire second string offensive line was in behind Cole Stout. That's always a good sign. That's usually a good sign. And you look at the end of the half, and Spencer Bent puts a cherry on top by making a 61-yarder over there for their ACC's longest field goal ever. I mean, it was pretty much a half of perfection. You know, in the second half, different guys got to play. There was a lot of positives that came out of that for Clemson. You know, a lot of good teaching tools, as Dabo would say, I think.
And you look at a guy like Taj Boyd, who I think this year has really come out and taken that leadership role and been accountable for his plays. There was a moment in the game against Auburn where he came off the field, seemed a bit frustrated after a couple of drops, one by Ford and the other by Hopkins, but he got himself together. He stayed composed, and in this ball game, he goes 19 of 23, another efficient day, 3 touchdowns. And after the game, he says, you know, basically, he feels like he can have a day where he's 100% on throws if some guys don't have drops. What is it about this kid this season? Do you think it's just the comfort in the system, or do you think he's a supremely confident guy, or maybe a little bit of both?
He is a pretty confident guy, but I think a lot of it is just that he is a year more mature. This his second year in Chad Morris's offense. He knows what it's about, and I think in the offseason, that was one thing that Dabo and Chad Morris definitely challenged him on. They challenged him to be a better leader. He's a junior now. They challenged him to be a better game manager and not get frustrated. And I think that was one of the things that led to his poor end of the season last year, was he got frustrated and would, you know, make poor decisions in the pocket and do some silly things. It came out of frustration, forcing balls where they didn't need to go and that sort of thing. I mean, obviously it helps the fact that he's 15 pounds lighter than he was at the end of last season. He can run better now, as anyone who watched 2 games at CNA saw his wheels, especially that 27-yard run in the Auburn game where he got the block, a nice block sprung for him and went free. You know, that was the kind of run he would not have made at the end of last year. He was not making those kind of decisions. He didn't have that dimension to his game, but I think he's a smarter, thinner, and more confident quarterback now. I think there'll be a real test in 2 weeks before State, but it's been pretty impressive so far what he's done.
Yeah, and you look at the running back situation at Clemson, you know, coming into the season, losing a guy like Mike Bellamy, but Roderick McDowell had an excellent touchdown run in this ball game, and DJ Howard showed some real speed at times, and I think a lot of people are wondering, you know, is that legitimate speed, or is that just a difference in the athletes Clemson's putting out on the field and the athletes that Ball State's got?
I think that was a little bit of a difference. I mean, Ball State, for all their offensive talent and prowess when running 96 snaps a week ago, they're not a good defensive team. I mean, this is a team that was giving up 5, 6, 700 yards a game at the end of last season and lost some guys. And you saw they lost guys throughout the game. I mean, they seemed like their players were just dropping like flies, 2 of their best cornerbacks among others. But I think that's one guy, Rob McDowell in particular, is a guy that coaches have really been impressed with. I mean, I talked to him this summer, and he basically said that, look, you know, I'd be silly if I didn't think about transferring at some point, but I like Clemson. I wanted to stick it out, and I got better. And I think Chad Morris, he has earned Chad Morris's trust. He was not a guy that Chad Morris trusted last year in key situations, and I think he has shown it, and he's earned it with some of the runs he's made. Particularly, I think he had on his touchdown run, he just broke the guy's ankles. It was really impressive, and I think if he can continue that and keep it up against higher caliber competition, he will really be a key for Andre Ellington this year to keep him healthy.
And when you look at this system and Chad Morris trying to establish the run much more, it seems to be headed in the right direction. The Tigers, as a team, rushed for 154 yards in this ballgame on 40 carries. And then you've got a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who coming into the game against Auburn, I said, look, this guy led the team in receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns as a freshman. I thought without Sammy Watkins, he would be great. He's gotten back to that level of play. Right there in the mix is one of the best in the country right now, I think. How big of an impact is it for this Clemson Tiger team that Hopkins has shown America, hey, you know what? Don't forget about me this season as well.
Yeah, he's really, really been impressive. Like, that was one of the questions when Sammy Watkins' situation came up, was how are they going to handle his absence? And I think the answer was Nuke Hopkins. And I think Sammy was on the sidelines yesterday, and Taj Boyd said that Sammy came up from after the third touchdown and said, "Man, you gotta quit. You're leaving me in the dust.
Yeah.
You're leaving me in the touchdown till dust." He was just kidding around, but yeah, he's been really impressive. He's got great hands. He's got great leaping ability. He's a good leader. He's kind of a quiet guy. He doesn't say a whole lot, but he really works hard. That his coaches say he's a great team guy, kind of guy who just cares about winning. So I think that's been big, and also, like you said, establishing the run's been big. I think that after what Clemson did against Auburn last week, Ball State really tried to sell the run, and as a result, Chad Morris says, "Well, if you want to stop the run, we'll beat you in the passing game." I mean, this was the second time in 35 years that Clemson had 200-yard passers in the same game. So it's really been an impressive effort the first couple games for the offense in terms of the running game and the balance that they've had.
And a beautiful moment in that game. I know Daniel Rodriguez had been in on some, kick coverage plays and stuff, but when Rodriguez makes a grab there in the game, he only had one, but it was for 4 yards. The moment, the ovation that he got from the fans, I mean, that's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, that was a really cool moment. I mean, he got several ovations. I mean, he got an ovation when he went back to receive the punt, when he caught that pass. You can tell it's a big deal for Daniel to be there. We get to talk to him this summer. He really enjoys being Clemson and being part of that for what he went through. I mean, you hear the cliche, and I heard it. You talk to a guy like that, and you flinch when you hear the cliche. And I've heard it several times from players and coaches this month of when the bullets are flying. I mean, here's a guy who really knows about what the bullets flying mean. Took several,
right,
and took a Purple Heart, and I think he's proven that he can really contribute to Clemson. He can be a guy. Maybe you won't catch 100 passes here. You won't have a Sammy Watkins type career, but he's a guy who, through his story and his leadership and probably his example, can really be a positive for Clemson and the football program going forward.
Awesome, Greg. Well, as always, man, we really appreciate you spending a couple of minutes with us here on the Clemson Hotline, brother.
Hey, no problem. Anytime, man. I look forward to it.
All right, folks. Greg Wallace of the Anderson Independent Mail, that guy right there. That's the guy. Man, I tell you what, he does a fantastic job covering your Clemson Tigers. And you talk about a guy like Daniel Rodriguez. I mean, he's not going to be one of these refrigerator Perrys. He's not going to be one of these guys that you're going to go, man, that was the greatest guy to ever play at Clemson. But I can tell you this. I mean, you got to go back to probably those guys who fought in World War II, some of those older Clemson Tigers before you find somebody that's really been on this team who's been in that kind of firefight in his life. Unbelievable to have that kid on our ball club this year. And you just see him keeping everybody feeling positive about everything. Nathan and Brandon blowing up the chat room. Come on in and join them. We'll be back. Enjoy the Clemson football season at Seasons by the Lake Restaurant. Tiger Tailgate on the Terrace at Seasons Restaurant will be held every Clemson football game day, rain or shine, home or away, from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for those day games and noon to midnight for the evening kickoffs. Enjoy a large screen TV, a Bloody Mary and mimosa bar, specialty drinks, and a great tailgate menu, all on the Seasons Terrace. For more information, call 656-7444. or visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/Seasons by the Lake. I hope to see you on the terrace.
We scoop the poop, dutycalls.com. When nobody else will do it, dutycalls.com. To make that dog poop go away, call or click for a free quote today.
When nature calls, we answer. To get a free quote for dog poop removal, go to dutycalls.com now.
DOODYCALLS. Dutycalls.com.
In the Midlands area, dial 1-800-DUTY-CALLS. They're number 1 and number 2.
Hate the thought of shopping? All that hassle and can't find what you're looking for anyway? We understand. Retail stores make it difficult. Instead, try www.edistooutdoors.com. Edisto Outdoors features performance apparel and gear engineered for performance, comfort, and style. EdistoOutdoors.com. You'll enjoy the shopping and you'll enjoy the products. Great products from people who care.
Are you a landowner who owns more than 10 acres that's interested in selling timber or pulpwood off your property? Cross Creek Timber is a full-service timber procurement company that buys standing saw timber and pulpwood. They're staffed with professional licensed foresters and fully insured with both workers' comp and general liability insurance. Let Cross Creek Timber develop the appropriate harvesting plan for your property and answer any questions regarding forest management. Call today, 864-517-3620. That's 864-517-3620 for your free woodland evaluation, or visit www.crosscreektimber.com.
Hey, sports fans, listen up. If you're a fan of the Gamecocks, the Citadel Bulldogs, or you just simply get chills from the Tigers running down the hill, then CRM Sports has a weekly show just for you. Even if Cocky and the Tiger make your blood boil, then just tune in for a good laugh. Each week, Gamecock fans hear the CRM Sports show Carolina Crowline broadcasting live from downtown Columbia. And Clemson fans enjoy the Clemson Hotline broadcasting live just miles away from their beloved Death Valley. It's fun, independent, objective, and informative talk about your favorite college team. To listen to the various CRM Sports Collegiate Sports Talk podcasts, visit iTunes and search for CRM Sports, and the action-packed shows will be just a free click away. CRM Sports. Check them out in iTunes and get all the inside info on your favorite Southern team. CRM Sports. We know Southern sports.
Welcome back in, Clemson Tiger fans. That was Greg Wallace before the break. Greg Wallace of orangeandwhite.com and the Anderson Independent Mail. Check him out online. He's at AIM Clemson. And I want to tell you the ways you can take part with us here in the program. 803-450-0086. That's the phone lines. They're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can get in touch with us there. We've also got our Twitter feed, hashtag TNTalk is the way you can do that. But you can follow us on Twitter. We're at Clemson Sports. That's easy to remember. You shouldn't have to go grab a pen to write that down. At Clemson Sports. Now, last week on TigerNet Talk, we had a chance to spend some time with Woodrow Dantzler. I mean, this guy was unbelievable. I mean, it was the best interview perhaps we've ever had. And we've had some really good ones. Daquan Bowers, Aries Curry. And I felt like, I was a little bit obligated to run that for you all here on the program. We're not going to be able to hear the whole thing, but I do want you to hear it. And we've got a couple of people in the chat room who said to me, hey, you know what, I didn't hear it last week anyway. So we're going to run that pretty much in its entirety. You are not going to believe Woody Dantzler when you hear it. This guy was amazing. And in fact, we may split it up into two segments. But this is Woodrow Dantzler on TigerNet Talk this past week. Check it out. I'll tell you what, Tiger fans, we are joined by a legend. I'm telling you, this guy is a player that people cannot get out of their minds. When you talk about the recent, especially, in this high-level media era of college sports, you talk about the recent high-profile guys to play at Clemson. We bring in Woodrow Dantzler. Woody, we've got a caller, man. You're so popular, we couldn't even get you on before people started to call and wanted to talk to you. we've got a caller on the line with us, man. We're going to punch him through and let him take the first question or give you the first question here in this interview. Caller, go ahead.
Hey, good evening, Woody. How you doing?
I am good. How are you?
Good. I want to let you know you're my all-time favorite quarterback at Clemson. Two questions. First of all, what did it feel like that day down in Atlanta that you made so many Tiger fans happy running into the end zone and ending the game? That was just awesome.
What did it feel like? It's kind of, I don't know. That's one of the things you can't describe. For one thing, throughout my whole career, I was never one to get caught up in the emotions of the game. I did pretty well at keeping my emotions at check because I knew I had to stay focused on the task at hand. And, everything, it didn't really hit me until maybe towards the end of the year when the season was over. Then, you get people talking about it. And even nowadays, people bring that game up where I'm really starting to kind of get an idea of how much of an impact that game was to the Tiger Nation. Because like I said, I keep my emotions in check, so I'm not almost caught up in those types of things. So it's just, I don't know. I really don't even know how to answer that, to be honest.
Well, as Tiger Nation, we want to thank you. We love what you've done for the university, and it was an unbelievable play. It gives me chills to think about it. And my second question is, what do you think about the current program at Clemson, and where do you see it going from here? I mean, we're just excited as fans. It's just awesome. What do you think?
Well, I'm excited myself, because that guy by the name of Dabo Swinney, that guy. I mean, I didn't play for him, but just meeting him when I did a couple of years ago, and he just welcomed me in like I was one of his players. And I mean, I adore that guy to death, man. Like I said, I didn't play for him. He made me want to, put my pads on now and go play for him right now. That's just the kind of guy, and you can see it in his players because that's the same effect he has on them. That's why they go out there and lay their hats on the line and play as hard as they do. Is because of him. And he's getting he's got a great staff around him. I got a chance to meet Coach Venables, and oh man, I really like that guy too. And I just got to meet him very briefly as well, but I like what he brings to the table. But and then the guys on the offensive side of the ball, Ty's boy, probably going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in Clemson history. You got the excellent receiver core, and that little number 23 back there. They got some weapons. So Ty's the weapons. Watkins, Bryant, those boys are weapons, and that offensive line, you can't say enough about them. They've grown together, so it's just amazing. And defense is finally they got a chip on their shoulder, so they're coming out and they're playing some good ball.
Great caller. Well, hey, we really appreciate you tuning in, and give us a call back some other time. We really appreciate that.
We love you, Woody. Thank you, man. Go Tigers.
Thank you.
What a way to start the interview. I always appreciate the callers calling in, and Woody, I tell you, man, he hits the nail on the head, and it's something that I noticed about you the first time I spoke with you not that long ago. I got off the phone, and I was scratching my head. I said, this guy is so humble. And for somebody who has been, really lifted up by Clemson Tiger Nation, I'll tell you how people feel about you. And I know you're so humble, you're probably going to disagree with me, but there is such a contingent out there that wants to see Woody Dantzler in the Ring of Honor around Death Valley because of what you did for that program. I mean, what does that mean to you to hear that from people? And it came into my inbox constantly this week when we told people you were coming on the show.
I mean, you're talking about Frank Howard, Jeff Davis, Terry Kennard. Those are great. To be placed in that is, it's mind-blowing. And, it's very humbling. I mean, I truly appreciate it, but, I'm really speechless. I mean, I appreciate it, but when I look at those guys that's up there now, it's like to be placed in that. I mean, it really makes me, I thank God for the ability He's given me to go out and play this game and to be able to win the hearts of people just by going out and playing ball and giving them something to root for. It's mind blowing, really.
Well, the other thing that's amazing to me is not just how the fan base respects you, but your former teammates, everybody that I've talked to about you just talks about what a stand-up guy you are. And I want to tell you, from a Clemson graduate and a fan of Clemson my entire life, I want to let you know that it does make us proud, man. And we really appreciate you going out there and showing the world what, being a Clemson Tiger is all about. We had somebody tweet into us, the Cullenberg kid said that you're called a ninja in some circles. Is that true?
I mean, I did get my start in martial arts, so I can see where that came from. So,
well, tell everybody quickly though. What are you up to these days? Where's Woody Dantzler? Everybody followed your career into the NFL, but what are you currently doing?
Well, Woody Dantzler primarily right now is a family man. I'm living in Greenville right now with my wife and 2 kids. So, coming up actually next month will be my 3-year wedding anniversary. So, looking forward for that. And right now I'm working at UPS, but I'm also got my hands in. I'm doing a lot of speaking engagements. As a fact, I'll be in Columbia this Saturday speaking at Christian Life Church at their men's breakfast. So, and then I'm also doing training. I'm training kids as far as fundamentals of football and working on a Christian T-shirt line. So between the family, the job, and my other activities, I stay kind of busy for a little bit, something like it.
I heard that, and congratulations on the wedding and family, and I know that you guys are excited about that. Now, when you look over the list of Clemson's all-time career rushing leaders, one would expect a school like Clemson that everybody in the top 10 would be running backs. But look there at number 7, and there's that guy, number 23, you talked about just on your heels, Woody Dantzler, one of the career-leading rushers at Clemson. I mean, was there a time in your life where you thought maybe, just maybe, you would have been a better running back had you devoted yourself to that?
Never crossed my mind.
You're going to be the dual-threat guy.
I'm never one of those guys that try to figure out, no, I was in the right place at the right time. And to me, it's all God's time. So what happened, it all happened for a reason. So I never thought about whether I should have been a running back or not, because at that time, I was a quarterback. That's what my heart was.
Top play that you recall making that made you say, wow, after the fact, or maybe when you saw the video, you said, that can't be me. I can't believe I just did that.
I don't know if there's one. I can't remember. I don't. Let me think. Maybe my first rushing touchdown, I guess as a baby coming into the game when Streeter went down against North Carolina, when he broke his collarbone in 1999. First time I actually came into a game to play in front of the Clemson faithful, and I was, to say the least, I was kind of scared out of my mind, but I knew I had 10 guys on offense depending on me and 11 other on defense, and then, however many more on the sideline pulling for me, and then you got everybody in the stand, so it's like I had to go out and perform and to be able to get in there, and we ran a draw play, ended up scoring a touchdown on that. I was kind of freaked out about how it all happened. And actually being able to throw my first touchdown and run my first touchdown in the same game, in that game, was kind of wowing to me. I can remember sitting back on the bus and just riding back to the dorm with me and Jackie Robinson on the big old bus by ourselves, and we just talking about the game like, wow, you believe what just happened kind of deal. So I think that would be one of them.
Now, outside of a Clemson uniform, how about your kick return when you were with Dallas, where you hopped on one leg twice on the sidelines? Come on. That had to be just, when you got home and saw that, you had to say, that's impossible. All right, we'll stop it right there, and we're actually going to get back to it. I tell you what, it's such a good interview. I do want you to hear the whole thing in its entirety. I know I'm going to have to break it up, though, to get the job done. Let me just check the clock there. Okay, I got that all set and ready to go. So we're going to head out to a quick break. When we come back, though, we'll wrap up that interview there with Woody Dantzler from TigerNet Talk last week. Appreciate everybody being with us, and I look forward to hearing from you all throughout the week. Clemson81@gmail.com.
I'm like Magic to Kareem, man. You tell me I ain't worthy. I ain't speaking about a jersey, I'm speaking about income. Did you hear that, Elizabeth? Here come the big one.
Oh, I'd grow up and I'd settle down. There was 10,000 girls up in Tiger Town, and it was heaven to me.
Cody Webb, 4 years into 5. Good stuff there. And earlier in the show, it was Jesse Rice. That's the other song. Everybody always asks me about those two. And I imagine that Lee Bryce will be the next one people are asking about. So those are your guys you're looking for. And I certainly appreciate everybody being here with us on the Clemson Hotline. Good to be with you. Hashtag TN Talk, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That comes to us on the Twitter sphere, and we will take your thoughts. We will also take your emails, and we actually do have an email that we need to get to, but I really want to finish this interview first. So I'm going to go ahead and play it. We left off with me asking the question. If you haven't seen the video, go to YouTube. Check it out. It's Woodrow Dantzler's kick return against, oh man, I can't remember who they're playing against, but he's playing for the Dallas Cowboys. I believe it was the San Francisco 49ers, if my memory serves me correct.
I like to tell this story a little bit every now and then. It's kind of funny because what I remember about that play, I remember I went the wrong way. A lot of people don't know that. I went the wrong way because I thought I saw something, but I didn't see it. And when I was getting hit, what was going through my mind at the time, we had a very in-your-face special team coach. And when you mess up, you do wrong, he lets you know it. Everybody knows you did it, and he makes you feel about a millimeter tall. So I can just remember I need to get some more yards so he don't fuss at me as bad. That's what I was, as the play was going on, as I'm getting hit, this was going through my mind. I have to get some more yards so he don't fuss at me too bad, and ended up in the end zone. So I remember coming back to the sideline. He said, "Do you know where the play is supposed to go?" I said, "Yeah, to the left." He said, "Okay, good job."
To the end zone, Coach. I was trying to get to the end zone. Great. All right. So another question that's been posed to me to give to you here on the program, and this could come from a Gamecock, but I really don't think it did. Did Rod Gardner push off?
Yep.
And we'll take it.
I mean, that game was so back and forth, man. If you think about it, if you look at what happened right before that drive when they went in to go score, they called a pass interference on Alex Arley on third down that gave them the first down to actually go ahead and get the touchdown. So if that wasn't called, none of that would ever happen. So there was a lot of back and forth missed calls in that game that could have went either way. And so, I mean, that's kind of how the game played out.
Now you're listening.
Yeah, he did push off.
You're listening to Woody Dantzler, former Clemson quarterback, Tiger legend here on TigerNet Talk. Appreciate him joining us. And, Woody, one feature that we have for every former Tiger that's come on here is something we call our Clemson 10. 10 random short answer questions, and then we'll get you out of here so you can spend time with your family the rest of the evening. But here we go. First off, number one, what does Clemson mean to Woody Dantzler?
Family.
Describe the first time you ran down the hill on game day.
Interesting.
Who's had the big... Go ahead.
I just remember I wanted to get down and get out of the way and not fall.
Who's had the biggest influence on your life?
Next to my parents, well, my parents. That's it. My mother Moselle, my father Woodrow.
Where would we find you on campus?
Depends on the day. I was everywhere.
Your greatest moment in a Clemson jersey?
That's a tough one. I don't know. Greatest moment. You know what? I don't even know if I have one. It's just so many. It's tough to narrow it down to one.
How about your
moment?
How about your toughest moment?
Toughest moment? Oh, I guess, always taking it off for the last time, saying this is the last time I'm going to play with my teammates. That might have been that game in Boise when I took it off for the last time I knew that was it at Clemson.
Well, I'm assuming, unlike some schools, I know for a fact we do send our players to class. So what was the toughest class you took?
The toughest class I took was statistics.
Oh, hey, me and you, buddy. 301. Awful.
That's the exact one.
Awful.
How about I got to be at that class, so how about that?
Awful. I think I know who your professor was. Best stadium to play in on the road in the ACC?
would say, I want to say NC State. They have a very strong family. That stadium wasn't that big, but they were right on you, and they were loud, and they got after you. So NC State was a good state to play in.
What's one thing most people don't know about Woody Dantzler?
That I don't watch football.
That's unbelievable.
Not a sports fan. Never growing up, never watched it. Now if I know someone's playing, I'll watch it. But for the most part, never watched sports coming up. Still don't.
In 10 years, what do you hope Clemson fans will remember about you?
What they remember is Woody Dantzler loved Jesus and lived his life as a testimony too. So.
Unbelievable, Woody. I tell you what, man, I knew when I talked to you that it was going to be a class interview, and I know Clemson fans just are going crazy right now with how unbelievably great their former starting quarterback has turned, not on the field, off the field. And I think that's a big deal for Clemson people.
Absolutely. We try to do. We raise each other up, man. Like I said, Clemson is family to me. It's always that connection. You go somewhere and you see some orange, and they mention it when it comes on. They recommend me from Clemson and say they were from Clemson. It's the big happy family. Like I got so many people at my job now that we just embrace because that family we have. Because he got his class ring. I went to Clemson. I graduated 2002. I graduated 97. I graduated 78. But we still family.
Absolutely, Woody. Anytime, my man. I hope you'll come on, and we certainly appreciate hearing from you tonight on Tiger Net Talk.
Well, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity. To everybody in Tiger Nation, love you. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support. Ben, appreciate it now. Stay with them because they riding high. They're going to keep rolling.
All right, Woody Dantzler here on Clemson Hotline. That interview from last week's TigerNet Talk. If you didn't hear it then, maybe you're a person who listens to Clemson Hotline and you don't check out TigerNet Talk. I wanted to give it to you. And I want to thank you all for being with us as always. I tell you what, at these home games, I'm going around, I'm trying to meet and greet people. Had a guy called me a Clemson legend, man. I was like, listen, I patted him on his back. I said, I just work hard to make this the best program that I can. That's it. I don't consider myself any more special than any other Clemson Tiger fan or supporter out there. But it certainly feels good to know that some of you guys out there really appreciate what we're doing here on the program. Anyway, we're going to send it out to a quick break, final break of the show. You guys, if you're not in the chat room with Brandon and Nathan, you're missing an unbelievable discussion about Clemson and Virginia Tech. And Logan Thomas being the most overrated player that Nathan has seen in quite a while. Join us in the chat room. Hit join. Don't sit on the front page. Come on in. The water's fine. We'll be right back.
Want to hear the sound of hassle-free traveling?
All aboard!
Amtrak takes the hassle out of traveling to over 500 destinations. You can stretch out in a spacious seat, relax in a sleeping car, and enjoy a hot meal in the dining car. And for those who want to kick back and take in the scenery, go right ahead. For everything you get on Amtrak, the one thing you won't get is this. So whether you're going to a family reunion or an away game, make it a whole lot nicer on Amtrak. Book your trip today at Amtrak.com or call 1-800-USA-RAIL.
All aboard!
Blake Austin of South Carolina Farm Bureau is an insurance agent you can count on to meet all your needs. Home, auto, health, life, you name it, Blake's got you covered, and he can save you on your yearly rates. Call him now for a free quote, 803-259-5008. That's 803-259-5008. Or just go to ClemsonSportsTalk.com and click on the Farm Bureau logo to be connected to Blake. Do like I do and work with the best agent around, and you can tweet that. Take your business to the next level with innovative website design from Foodog Media. Foodog can handle all your web, graphic, and social media needs. Call them today, 843-864-9268. That's 843-864-9268. Mention this ad and receive 10% off of your website. Foodog is a Clemson-owned business. See their portfolio at www.foodogmedia.net. May the food be with you. Clemson Hotline rolling along, and let me tell you about the Clemson University Conference Center and Inn. That's right. Contact them, 1-888-654-9020. Check them out. They've got hotel rooms there. They're the only conference center and inn within walking distance to the campus and stadium. And while you're there, check out the Tiger Tailgate on the terrace. It doesn't matter. Home, away, rain or shine, day, night. You like Clemson Tiger sports, go there and tailgate on the terrace from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. for day games, noon to midnight for evening games. Enjoy a large screen TV, Bloody Mary and mimosa bar, specialty drinks, and a great tailgate menu. That's all on the Seasons Terrace at Seasons by the Lake Restaurant. For more information, call 656-7444. Visit their Facebook page, facebook.com/Seasons by the Lake. Clemson Hotline here, Lawton Swann with you, and we go out to the emails. You can email us. Matter of fact, if you have a business, you can sponsor our email box. I mean, this could be the Brandon and Nathan inbox if those guys chose to do that. Maybe you could too. So just let us know. Clemson81@gmail.com is the way to get in touch with us. Contact us if you're interested in being a sponsor of our program, and we certainly appreciate all our sponsors out there. Ray writes in, he says, I know you don't have direct control, but perhaps you could be the voice of thousands of us who try to watch the games on TV. This ACC network or Raycom or whoever is responsible for showing Saturday's game did such a poor job, I just listened to WCCP radio via my PC. Not only did we miss most of the game due to the picture going in and out, but they cannot even pronounce our coach's first name correctly. Yeah, I heard that. Dabo. Like a dirt dauber. Dabo Sweeney. Two guys in the booth. One says it right, but his co-host doesn't. What a sorry impression this all makes with recruits and their parents, not to mention another bad rap on the ACC. And I tell you, I agree with you, Ray. Look, I mean, the coverage was not fantastic by any means. Let's give the Atlantic Coast Conference a bit of credit, though, because the coverage has gotten better. I mean, if you go back and watch some games just a few years ago, it was atrocious. At least it's improved. But you're right. I mean, it's a second-rate operation right now, and I hate to crush on those guys. But they really have the corner on the market when you consider the fact that you can't turn down your television and just listen to the radio because of the timing issues. Now, look, there are some applications out there for it. I'm not going to advertise for those people right now, though. You can look them up and find them on your own. I'm currently in negotiations with a couple of them to come on board with us. There are two major vendors of a device that will sync up your radio and your television. And there are many of you out there that may not like the radio broadcast of the Clemson games. You would like to have another way to consume it. Look, you give me Gus Johnson, I'll take Gus Johnson and an old 13-inch black and white TV, and I'm just fine because Gus Johnson kills it. And I believe I saw Gus Johnson on the Fox game this week. I believe it was the UCLA game where Gus Johnson was calling that one. Gus Johnson, hands down, in my mind, is the most entertaining guy to listen to. I think for insightfulness, you go to a guy like Kirk Herbstreit. I really like Herbstreit's insights into the game. When I was growing up and CBS had that fantastic intro into the games, with the I would hate to hum it for fear of ruining it, but if you know what college football used to sound like when it came on Saturday mornings, I think back to the Clemson-Georgia games of the 80s or Clemson-Florida State. Those games, that sound, Brent Musburger, that was the guy for me. Not as much anymore. I think Musburger in his age has gotten, I don't know, just not as passionate. Like when Sammy Watkins made the big touchdown grab in the Atlantic Coast Conference Championship game, it was like, there's the toss to the fellow, got him out there, the freshman fellow, or whatever. I mean, Sammy Watkins, only the best player on our team, the most electrifying freshman. Did I say electrifying or frying? I don't know if it really matters. Does it really? There's that beautiful sound, the Clemson alma mater. Stay at the game, undergrads. Aluminum seats everywhere at the end of that ball game. Stay at the games. You only get, 7 times 4, 28 home games in your career as an undergrad, unless you spend 7 years in school like I did. Then you get a few more. Brandon wants to know my thought on Pete Yanity as we head out of here in the Vocal Live chat room. Pete has grown on me. It was hard to get away from Jim Phillips. Pete has grown on me. Till next time, hey, I appreciate you all being with us here on the Clemson Hotline, and Wednesday night at 9, live on the front page of TigerNet. Tune in for TigerNet Talk. Until then, I'm your host, Lawton Swann, signing off. Y'all take care now, and go Tigers!